What's up, good people? What's up, good people? We are back after a long while 10 whole months since our last stream. Guys, we are back on the Toxic Show. If you know, you know, we are the place where the banter's hot, the takes are toxic, and no team is safe. So we're going to get into all the action, guys, from this previous weekend's round of fixtures, obviously in the Premier League. Before we get started with that, guys, please make sure you smash the like button. Let's get the video up and the likes up, as well as subscribing to the channel. Okay, so with all those formalities out the way, I just want to welcome my panel. As you can see, a lot of familiar faces here, guys. Some happy, some not. I got my man in the middle there supporting Chelsea. We got Donzi rocking his shades, feeling cool. World champs. The last time we spoke, Chelsea weren't in this position. And I think, obviously, now you can see these Chelsea fans clearly taking it too far. We've got my boy, my brother in red. There we got Dane. Obviously, guys, you know Dane, fellow gunner of mine. Obviously, a very smart man with his team selection there. So Dane, welcome back, bro.
Yo, Shan. Thanks for having me back.
Perfect, bro. Glad to have you back. And then, obviously, guys, you got the two guys on the bottom there who have tasted defeat this past match week. We got our man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Controversial Takes. We got Rian, guys, obviously repping Liverpool, the current Premier League champion, so still deserves his respect until they've relinquished their title. I think he can still have all the cheers that he wants. Maybe not tonight, but going forward. And then, guys, we've got our brother from opposite North London. We've got Medes here after Spurs, who have had a good start to the season, I must say. They've been quite impressive. Unfortunately, tasting defeat at home against Villa. Medes, what you saying, bro?
Yeah, man. What's up, guys? What's going on? I mean, we still need to work on our home form, but I mean, like you said, we so far not too bad, but would have loved that those 3 points also.
Sorry, guys, my dog's in the way. Yeah, sorry.
Eh?
Look, I think we'll get to Spurs, but I think there's no place that we should that we there's no other place to start. But at Anfield yesterday, I think the result, I wouldn't say it was a surprising result based off United's form, but I think Liverpool have been in a bit of shaky form. But I think this so far, I think in terms of surprises of the season, I think this has been the biggest surprise that I think any of us could predict it. I think that's obviously Liverpool 1, Man United 2, and I think we can get into Rian pause, but I think we can let the man have the floor. Rian, bro, obviously, unfortunate for you that you guys lost yesterday. I think Liverpool played quite well. I don't think the result or the performance was warranted a defeat, but a defeat nonetheless. What are your overall thoughts and takes from yesterday's game, bro?
Well, first of all, well done to United. They didn't make it easy. Definitely not. Playing that low block, it's quite frustrating when you play a team. And obviously, we conceded early on. Feel like the official should have stopped the game, regardless of the fact that it was our own play of Verge, injuring McAllister. But we all know the rules when it comes to head injuries. So yeah, that's definitely my take on it. And now Gravenbach is injured, guys. So yeah, that is another setback. We're not sure how long he'll be out. But I kind of like what Slot said after the game. He said they were poor. He's not happy. We are creating the chances. It's not like chances are not being created. Also, guys going on about Verts not creating. Yet Verts is number one, guys, on the fantasy for chances created, which shows us that Verts is creating, but we're not finishing. I mean, Salah, I don't know, guys. I feel like Chiesa should be starting. I feel like Slot is a bit too friendly in terms of his starting 11, and there's definitely some favoritism. Instead of bringing on Frimpong for Bradley, he put Joboslai there, and then that's how they scored the winner. Because of that throw in. Instead of going down the line, Joboslai went back to the goalkeeper, created pressure, corner, goal. So that just shows you complacency, and at this point in time, it's a form thing. Like they said, form is temporary, class is permanent. So I feel like once they start gelling, we'll see a different Liverpool. Like you said, Shannon, they are definitely creating. They had a good game. They're just not converting.
No, look, 100%, bro. I think with Liverpool, I think especially for Liverpool fans, it must be quite a weird place to be in. You've come off such a high of the last season. Winning the league, and you haven't really had this under Slot or even under Klopp in a while, where you had such a bad run of games. Where you now 4 defeats in a row in all competitions, and I think look, what I think, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I can take probably some sort of like heart in knowing that the performances are at least good. The chances are being created. It's not that Liverpool are looking like the team that is not going to score, not going to create. But what I think, and I think I've raised this in the group from the start of the season, is that as much as Liverpool can create, they're leaking chances. Like, I don't think Liverpool have ever had a period in the last maybe 10 years where they've looked so susceptible when being attacked. And I think, like you said, bro, there's a lot of questions that are being asked of Slot, and I think some rightfully so. I've heard opinions of him being sacked. I think that's ridiculous. I think he can even have a poor season this season. That man has won you the league. You know what I'm saying? I think he deserves the grace at least to figure it out. Scoring for a manager's head after 4 defeats, you know, at 4 points behind in the league table. It's not even 10 games. I think that's a bit ridiculous. So I think that's just pure rage bait. But what I will say is, though, I think, like you said, the favoritism, I think, is actually what's killing Liverpool in a sense. Like, look, bro, your twin brother, Hugo, as I said on one of the streams, Hugo Ika TikTok, that's what they called him. uh, Look, and I think I've been impressed by him, but I mean, surely he should have been starting yesterday. I mean, yes, Isak is your record signing, but Isak has done nothing to warrant starting, in my opinion. I think Ekitike even came on yesterday and he looked dangerous, bro, more than Isak. And I think, I don't know. I'm not sure what formation Slot played with previously, but based off the wing backs that he signed, you think that you'd find a way to incorporate them. Your fullbacks are one of your stronger options, I would say. And I think, like you said, him playing Sabazla at right back when you got Frimpong, and then you're taking off Salah and bringing Frimpong on a right wing is just it's a very weird, it's a very weird change to make. Like you said, you've got Chiesa, you've got Eketike, you've got options there. Um, but just back to you, bro. Do you still feel that Slot can turn this around? And look, I know it's only 4 games and it's not the end of the world, but do you think that this is something to concern yourself in the long term in terms of a Slot's ability to manage the squad and get the best out of his players, or do you think this is just um, a kind of blip that you can find yourself in the season having?
So obviously, my take on it is there's a bit of a transition phase right now. I mean, if we look at last season's team, that was definitely a club team, and the club DNA was still strong, in the players. And right now, this is Slot's basically Slot is starting his era now only. He got a players he wanted. He got a backing from from the board. Spend over 400 quid, guys, and that's a lot of money, And obviously, we need to be patient. I mean, we have, if you look at it right now, it's over 6 new players, and 4 of them are already starters. So definitely, I feel like it's gonna take some time. Like you said, they are playing good football. They're just not converting. The guys need to get used to the system that he's playing. Obviously, he likes to play with 5 at the back, from what I've seen, with Gravenbach sitting slightly bit deeper, and then 5 up front, which is similar to how Arsenal play. If I'm not wrong, because Arsenal like to push 5 players in front and keep 5 at the back. So in terms of when a team attacks you, those 5 can cover, get back into position. And also when you attack them, you have those 5 players whereby Gravenbach can then also push further up, if the attack is looking good. So I feel like we still have to work on it. Definitely, we're playing Frankfurt. So if we can win Frankfurt on Wednesday, that will give us some momentum leading towards the weekend. Because we're playing Brentford. It's definitely not going to be an easy game because Brentford will have similar tactics to United. They like to play the long ball. But yeah, I'm definitely confident. Like you said, Ekatike, definitely our best signing for a season. He came on, he looked lively. The nice thing I like about Ekatike, he can play on the left, he can play down the middle, he can play as a false 9 as well. If we look at a game with France, Mbappe actually said by the post interview, he never ever played with a player like Ekatike before, in terms of just how well he um, how well he fit himself into the squad. I mean, he's quite new at France, and it was their first time playing a 4-4-2 with him playing up front. So I feel like definitely Ekitike is a gem. I mean, Ekitike is similar to like a Voltemare. We don't expect players like this just to walk into the league and start performing. So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Hopefully, we can revive ourselves on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, look, I think like you mentioned that there is things I think tactically Slot can do, and I'm gonna bring someone else obviously onto chat now. But just like lastly for me on this, I think look, banter aside, we've bantered you in the group. I think Liverpool and Arsenal fans are firmly rivals now, so I'm not gonna even say I wish you better. I genuinely don't, bro. Like I wish Liverpool continue to lose from like an Arsenal perspective, right? But from a footballing perspective, I can see that Liverpool once they click, and I think that's what everyone can admit on this panel. Liverpool's forward line and the team click, they'll be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? The only thing is, I don't know if the egos, and I don't mean that the players are egotistical. I just think that how do you fit in a system with Ekitike, Verts, Salah, and Isak all trying to get the right amount of goals and contribution? I mean, it's World Cup here at the end of the year. No one is going to try and necessarily help the other out per se, especially when they're all going for the same position. So it's going to be interesting to see what Slot does. I see Dane nodding his head there. Dane, obviously, bro, Arsenal representative, bro. Obviously, we're quite happy with the result that happened yesterday at Anfield. Just from what you noticed and what you've seen from Liverpool, do you think this is something that their fans should be quite concerned about? That this actually just might be a barometer or a scope into the future, or do you think what this is something we've seen even under Arteta, where we've had a bit of a three game blip, but then after that, we're able to pick ourselves up, or what? Just your overall thoughts.
Yeah, I think Liverpool have been scraping wins from the beginning of the season in terms of not being defensively solid. I mean, they conceded 2 against Palace, 2 against Bournemouth, and then 2 against Newcastle, a 10-man Newcastle. So the signs were there that things weren't going as smoothly this season as they did last season. I think it's weird to see Foden and Salah have like bad seasons after having player of the season seasons. So it's confusing almost, like how that's happening. And I mean, we spoke about it on the group. I think the biggest concern for Liverpool fans was when they didn't get Guehi. I don't know how to say his name right. Guehi. Is that they focus too much on attack and not enough on their defense.
There's a comment that's similar to
And
what you're saying, bro. Sorry, I just want to
yeah,
show you this comment. It's so that you mentioned that because this comment just came through now.
yeah. So that's exactly what I'm saying, is that they're a Gravenberch or Van Dijk injury away from having an even worse run of games. And now Gravenberch is injured. So it's just weird kind of squad balance. I think that's why, like, when people were saying Liverpool have spent a lot of money and they're the champions, they're looking like, all the pundits were like they're looking the best. But I think what makes Arsenal different is that the Arsenal squad is the most balanced. I think we don't have as many big names and many match winners as maybe Liverpool do, but we have a more balanced squad, and I think that's where the confidence in Arsenal fans has come this season. So yeah, I haven't watched a lot of Liverpool other than the Arsenal game. I, yeah, so I can't comment too much on their play, but just the kind of from the goals conceded and then kind of having late goals in games is just not a good trend to take into the rest of the season.
No, 100%. And I think we like, just to touch on your last point there regarding the last minute winners. It's all fun and games until like you don't get it, and then it becomes a problem. Same way I think even with Arsenal, where people can critique us on the set pieces. It's like, and I get a lot of Arsenal fans when they say this. It's like set pieces are great until that's all you're relying on, then it becomes a problem. So look, I think that the trait of Liverpool being able to score and win games late is great, but I just think the pattern that, like I said, that also concerned me, and I think we all spoke about it in the group, was the amount of goals and chances Liverpool were giving up this season compared to last season. You know, and I think that's why also a lot of Arsenal fans have the gripe with Arteta for that particular game to say, look, this Liverpool team is vulnerable. They're there for the taking, and whether or not that changes, obviously, when we play you guys in the reverse fixture in Jan, maybe you might be a different team by then. You might be a bit more defensively solid, but like I think Liverpool, they you can see they're in a transitional year, and I think Salah's unfortunately been bitten by the Aubameyang bug of getting a nice big contract and suddenly just form is just dipping. And I just think Slot needs to, and I know he's a great player. I'm not saying he should be never play for Liverpool again, but I think Slot needs to be able to drop him for a bit and say, listen, dude, we didn't re-sign you just to give you a lot of money. We re-signed you so that you can still prove yourself. You still have to contribute. And I think that's where I think Slot can do something. I'm just gonna move quickly to Donzi. Donzi, obviously, bro, you guys are the last team to beat Liverpool after United did. That's actually, I mean, yeah, exactly. After United did, sorry, and that's obviously compounded their misery. You've obviously seen a bit of Liverpool this season. You commented in the group, about what you thought. But what's your overall feeling regarding Liverpool? Do you think that Liverpool are a team that can retain their title, and is this something that you think is, how do I say it? I know, like I said, it's early in the season, but do you think that the form they're showing actually is leading also to like a bigger problem? Like I've asked the rest of the panel.
Bro, as like literally like what Dane said, I haven't watched too much of Liverpool. Obviously we played them not too long ago, so I don't really want my opinion on them to be biased because obviously you guys know how the match went. So to be honest with you, bro, like obviously like you said, you can tell they're in a transitional like phase. There's clear like weaknesses when it comes to their team. They have way too many like attackers and stuff like that. And obviously, look, we have similar problems as well. Like Chelsea's team is not balanced either. So like, I'm not really being hypocritical. I'm also just like acknowledging the fact that they like loaded a whole load of money in the attack. But obviously, Gahey and those type of signings didn't really end up coming through. So, but yeah, man, I think Liverpool, you're gonna have to give Slot some time. Like they are in a transitional like period. And obviously, look, they're not doing too bad. Like they could be doing worse. If you guys remember, a couple of seasons ago when we finished 12th, like we were in a transitional period, and that was a really bad finish. And I don't think this Liverpool side, are capable of finishing that low. So if it's anything better than that, then you know what I'm saying. You gotta give them a pass too. Like you won the league, so you gotta cut some slack. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I just want to.
Yeah, sorry, bro, go on.
Did someone? Oh, actually, Medes, I was just about to bring you in. I was actually gonna ask you, from a Manchester United perspective, bro. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about Liverpool, and we don't have Manchester United representatives. But look, guys, we can't go without stating that was a big win for United. They played well. They actually, and I think it's a very similar performance to what they put in against Arsenal, where they were very threatening. United, I think, have still created the most chances this season, which is ironic to think. United have been and they added quality players. Let's not deny that. Mbuemo is a player that I think can start for any of our teams, and so is Cunha. They've really signed quality, and then obviously Sesko is the one that is still yet to be determined. But I think Medes, obviously I'm just bringing you in here, is that we've seen United now for the first time under Ruben Amorim win 2 games in a row. They're currently 2 points behind Liverpool. And earlier in the season, there was talk of Amorim being sacked, and it just shows you how quickly narratives and perspectives in football can change. Just your take, Medes, on United. Do you think this is a result that can springboard them into a couple of good other results, like maybe a run of 5, maybe 10 games winning, or do you think we might see default settings come back when they think they play Everton on Monday?
Nah, bruh. They're still Man United, eh? And like without disrespect, I think Man United is slowly entering small club status because it's not a shock to see a small club win at a big club. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, it could have just been a good day, man. And I always say, it's very easy for what you like the example you made about points, just points to change when it's still early in the season. So we look there by match day 15. I think that's when we'll actually be able to say, does the coach still need to stay or does he have to vie or whatever the case might be. But we do hope that maybe United will take this as a boost of confidence and say, hey, man, we won and Liverpool, but also it's a struggling Liverpool. It's not like you won against a very dominant Liverpool. This was like their fourth defeat in a row, if I'm not mistaken. But just that on its own, and I don't know, like I didn't watch the whole game. I just caught the second part of it. I don't think United are looking like flawless like that to be like they could be confident enough going into the next round of fixtures or whatever the case. But seeing them against Everton, that's where you'll see. But I don't think anything surprising will come out of United.
Yeah, look, I can agree with you to an extent, is that I think the most important result for United is probably the next one against Everton, because then it shows was that either a flash in the pan or like you just turn up for Liverpool, or is it a turning of the corner, and I think for a lot of United fans, I think that they will hope it'll be the turning of the corner. I think they had some really big performances. I mean, it's weird to me because it's like when I watched the opening game for United against Arsenal, United played two in the midfield and dominated our midfield, and they did the same yesterday. United, like, even though they didn't have possession, I think the Liverpool's possession wasn't always threatening in the midfield. I think every time Bruno and Casemiro got on the ball, like, things were happening. I think because of the lack of like possession, it forced them to play very intricate and like precise passes. And I think I'm still not sure on this whole back three or back five with Amarim. I don't see it working long term. Still, I won't lie to you guys. Like, unless you get like two solid center mids, like an Elliot Anderson and a Carlos Baleba, which are legs. They've got the technical, they're strong. Then it could work. But I don't see the balance of a Casemiro and a Bruno Fernandes, lasting you too long. I think, look, Mason Mount, what he added, in my opinion, yesterday was the legs. Bruno's got the legs, but I think Mason Mount had a certain tenacity about him yesterday. He played much more like an 8 than a 10 than what I'm used to. I know Mount was a 10, but yesterday he was giving me much more your typical number 8. He's battling, he's in the wars. And I think United need more of that in terms of the midfield for me to be able to believe in this Amarim system. So I think, there's obviously not a United rep on here, so I don't think we have to dwell too much onto United, because
I just wanted
ultimately
to say with the Liverpool game, I think it's also safe to consider like when injuries actually come at your disadvantage, because Ellison saves that Mbomo shot, right? And because that they concede such an early game, like such an early goal, it obviously sets you back, and now you're probably having to switch on like the like how you feel in your players or whatever the case, and that just destabilizes the team. But in my opinion, that one-on-one shot, Ellison like saves it, and it's a corner, still invites pressure, but I don't think it's 1-0 to United.
Yeah, look, I'm not one to say if this one was there, you never know. Like, he could have still scored. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think, and that's how I feel. I think I don't know if I said it in the group yesterday. I don't know which group I said it in. I said, when you don't have momentum, certain things won't go your way. Like, if Liverpool had momentum the past couple games, I think the keeper Masvidal saves that ball yesterday. But because they in a bad run of form, gives a boss like that exact free kick he scored against Arsenal yesterday. He kicks it over the bar. I guarantee you. And when it's your moment, it's your moment. So look, I think and that's obviously from an Arsenal perspective, and we will jump into Arsenal soon. Like, as much as when Liverpool, like, one of our rivals is down, we need to take advantage, and I think that goes for anyone in the title race. The minute your rivals make mistakes, you need to capitalize. Like, we didn't expect Liverpool to be dropping 3 Premier League games in a row, but Arsenal have won 3 Premier League games in a row, and I think that's great. You get what I'm saying? And I think that's not the first surprise we will have of the season. So I don't think there should be any meltdown from any fan base, because City's fan base had a little bit of a wobble early in the season. Then Arsenal's fan base, when we didn't even lose, we lost against Liverpool and drew against City, they will tell you our group chats were heated, bro. Like, our group chat was heated, bro. It was genuinely, like, it was insane. And I was like, guys, it's only like 5 games into the season, and I look at Liverpool, it's like it's only 8 games into the season. Like, but it just shows you the level of the Premier League at the moment. That, like, Spurs lost yesterday. Now they're sitting 6th. Spurs were like 3rd yesterday, like the day before. Like, it just shows you how quickly things can change. Liverpool 2 weeks ago, 5 points ahead of Arsenal, and now 4 points behind us. It's just a 9-point swing. So I think
anyone can beat anyone.
100%, bro. Anyone can beat anyone. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool turn this around against Frankfurt. I think Champions League is actually maybe a nice distraction. It's away from home. It's not in front of the media. It's not at your home ground. You know, it's a but and I expect them to win. I expect Liverpool to maybe get like a 2-1, 2-0. You know, I would love for them to lose. Don't get me wrong, for it to continue. But I don't. You know, just know that sometimes with that period for any team, even if you're hating, it just comes to an end. Obviously, United, it's looking like it's not. But you know, with Liverpool, I think with the quality they have, I'd be surprised if Slot doesn't make a few changes, like a Chiesa, maybe starting or Iketike, and they get the win. You know, I think they've got enough quality to turn this around. So I'm just going to go through a couple of the comments here, guys. I'm sure we've seen them on the screen, but I just want to read out the comments because the viewers have given us the time. Justin says here, talk bad about Liverpool and report this channel. Listen, brother. Like I said, any team can get it. Any smoke. Anyone can hold smoke here. Um, Justin with another comment just saying Iketike was a plug and play, same as Lucho when he joined Liverpool. Look, I see similarities, but I think with Iketike, especially up front, you did know, like, yes, Isak is a 150 million pound striker, right? But the pressure, I think, is more on him because you're insisting on playing him all the time. Like, if Eketike is playing, play him, and is on form, play him. Because it means when Isak is in the team, he'll most likely have earned it. He would have had to have scored. But now it's like you're starting this guy and he's just looking bad, bro. You know, he's looking unfit. Him and Jokeres, you can see that the Sweden form it's a deep thing, man. You know. Should go to another comment here. We've got Akuna Matata says Liverpool needed to get Gahi. Their major issue is at the back. What's not there can't click. And I think, look, I think all of us in the group, we say that I think Liverpool need to get that defensive signing. Rian, just quickly with you, bro. Do you think that Liverpool should go in for another defender? Obviously, Leone, the young centre back you guys have from Italy, obviously suffered a terrible injury. So you guys are quite short there. And I think depending on guys like Konate and Joe Gomez for an entire season with injury history that they have and an aging Van Dijk, do you think that, look, it might not be Mark Gay that you go in and sign in January, but do you think that Liverpool should invest a little bit in January in order to get another centre back through the door?
To be honest with you, I think we need to go in for Guy. They're looking at between 15 and 20. I'd pay the money. Like Dane said, quality centre back. He can attack, he can defend. He's like a younger Verge, basically, and he's a leader as well. If we don't get him, we also linked with Schlotterbeck. So
From
let's
Dortmund, eh?
let's yes, from Dortmund. So let's see what happened, guys. There was also again news on Sky Sports that we are gonna go all in for centre back. That is what Slot clearly needs right now. And look here, we are the defending champions. So I don't count Liverpool out. You know, it's still early days. And just to mention, guys, the dark horses for me, not even dark horses. Let's not disrespect them. City. If nobody stops Haaland, guys, there's big trouble. If he doesn't get injury this season, we all know. We all know what a fit Haaland is capable of. So,
Yeah, you must
yeah.
come to the Emirates Penitentiary, man. You come to the Emirates Penitentiary.
So, yeah, let's see.
No.
Let's see. Also, with Kirk is, he slowly needs to introduce him to the game. You know, I feel like start with Robertson for now. Robertson can obviously groom and get him into that position. I feel like with Frimpong should be fine. You know, he has all the qualities. I mean, he won the league already. He knows how to play in the Champions League.
Look good in the Community Shield. No, I'm saying, no,
Definitely.
Frimpong, I
So
said he looked good in the Community Shield. Honestly speaking,
yes,
sorry to cut
even
you.
when he came on with his cameo,
Yeah,
you
he
know,
did well.
last
He
night.
got down the line, crossed the ball for your strikers.
Yeah.
I mean, what more do you
10
want?
minutes, he was a threat, you know. Like you said, also, I felt like if that ball fell to Ekatike, you would have scored that header instead of Gakpo. But like you said, it's one of those things whereby it's not gelling right now, it's not clicking. But once it clicks, we will definitely see a different Liverpool. At this point in time, you know, it's when things go against you. They need to show that they're champions. So it's a mental thing. So yeah, let's see what happens.
100%. Going to go through a couple more comments here. We got Regan here that says Liverpool without Allison struggle at the back. Allison easily saves that first and Bremo goal yesterday. I don't think the defense is unbalanced. Look, I don't think from a maybe, and I just want to just touch on this. I was actually watching a podcast earlier. It's not that they're unbalanced in terms of maybe the profiles, but what Slot is asking Kirkes and Bradley to do in build up, they're not those players. They're not build up players. They are final third action players. They are get out wide, beat your opposing winger or fullback, and cross the ball in. Then now you're asking them to be part of the build-up. You're asking Bradley to be like Trent. Trent was part of Liverpool's build-up, and you can't replace that. You maybe you can, but Liverpool haven't. And I think that's where the struggle is as well. Liverpool's build-up play is maybe not as fluent because they don't have. And I think obviously, look, Trent for all his defensive lapses, I don't think Trent is an all-timer, guys. Like Trent is a Hall of Fame player. Like he's genuinely that like unique of a player, and I think Liverpool missed that. And I think obviously with Slot is that he hasn't changed the system to tweak it to according to the players that he has. He's tried to still have the same Klopp system in a sense, but he's brought in slot players. It's like, no, dude, just change the system. Yes, you won with his team, but maybe listen, it's only 8 games in. Maybe he's slowly introducing his new style, and we just have to give it time. Whether it's maybe second half of the season or next season, we don't know. It could be sooner, could be later. But yeah, I think Liverpool they need to add something to the defense, whether it's a whole approach as a team or actually adding better defenders because they're conceding way too many chances, and you can't go through a season, especially now with the Champions League format being where you play against top teams, bro. Like Liverpool are gonna come up against Madrid soon. Like don't like that's Mbappe, bro. That's Vini. That's Bellingham. That's not no offense to any other team we played so far this season. I mean, if Newcastle can score goals against you guys, no disrespect to those teams, you give chances to Mbappe and them, bro, they're gonna punish you guys. Especially since the Mbappe is in a good vein of form. So yeah, just want to quickly just end on touching on that, and then Regan, just one more comment from him here. He says, when you look at the stats in the season in the EPL, United are the most dangerous in attack and creating the most scoring opportunities. And I think, look, we did mention that, and I think with United, we're all just waiting to see how long it lasts. Like, is this a flash in the pan, or is it something that is actually sustainable? And I think only time will tell. So, yeah, guys, thanks for all your comments on the United and Liverpool section. Leave more comments, guys. Likes, obviously, we know there are Champions League games, but we're not going to preview them. We're just basically doing a review tonight of all the Premier League games from the past weekend. We just, what they say, loosening the cobwebs, just getting our streaming feel back. We're going to get back into full action over the course of the next few weeks. Okay. Obviously, moving on, I think it's no other place than one of Liverpool's title rivals, should I rather say respectfully. Obviously, Arsenal. We got the job done at Fulham, which I think myself and Dane can tell you guys is no easy feat for us in the past couple of seasons. I think the past 3 results have given me so much confidence as to why I think we might win the league this season. And people can say, yeah, it's still early, but like, guys, you know what? The fact that people call Arsenal boring means that we're doing our job, because you don't have to be exciting the whole 38 games, eh? And I think that's, people will call it set pieces here, set pieces there. But if you actually watch the Fulham game, we should have scored like at least 2 goals from open play, and that's down to Gyökeres, right? In my opinion, and maybe even Trossard, he has a good chance. And yes, we won it on a set piece, and yes, that seems to be our strength. But Chelsea have scored more set pieces than us this season, so the narrative is a bit boring when it comes to set pieces in Arsenal. Yes, we are the best at it, and I think we are probably the most consistent at it in terms of, I think, being able to do it for a long period of time. But don't let it confuse you and think that we aren't a good team. And Dane, bro, I'm gonna jump to you. Obviously, being a fellow Gunner. This is Newcastle away, West Ham at home, and Fulham away, which we last season only collected 1 point from a possible 9. This season we've collected 9 from a possible 9. Just tell me, how happy are you with Arsenal's current form, and what are your expectations for the next, let's say, 5 games, and what you expect to see from this team?
I'm very happy. I think I was worried about all of these games, more worried than the Liverpool and City games, because these are physical mid-block teams, and that's our kryptonite. So everyone says that we struggle to break down low blocks, but most of last season we did fine against low blocks. You just got to be very patient. Eventually, they crack. And we dominate possession and we get through eventually. But the mid blocks have been our headaches since 3 or 4 seasons ago, and it's been Newcastle, West Ham, Villa, and Fulham. Fulham have been actually the most annoying one, because they're like, they'd recently been promoted and then have given us such a headache. Like, so I think those those victories have felt supreme. I think there's someone that did a analysis of the results this season compared to last season, like away.
Yeah, I think I sent in the group.
Yeah, so that we are 7 points better off than last season on the same fixture. So there's a difference between points after 8 games versus points after the same fixtures, because we've had one of the toughest starts in the league. So I think there's just so many positives happening at Arsenal. Like we've had Saka injured, we've had Odegaard injured, we've had I think which main defender was injured? Was it Saliba or Gabriel? One of them got injured, and we
Saliba was
haven't
injured.
really, yeah. So we haven't really panicked like we normally would when our big players, our best players, get injured. It's just like such an amazing feeling. So yeah, like it just reminds me of that Julius Malema meme. We are cruising nicely.
Ironically enough, that's exactly what I was like. Liverpool fans were telling me this last season. I'm not even trying to this. It was like I had a uncle of mine saying, you know what, results will humble me. That's what he was saying the whole of last season. Like he was fully backing Liverpool, and he said only results will humble him. And look, ultimately nothing humbled him because they ended up as champions. And I think I agree with you, bro. We are cruising, and I think that's what people also aren't realizing. As much as people, I don't know, people always analyze us weirdly, in my opinion. Maybe that's just me being an Arsenal fan. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive regarding it, but I think people analyze us and say like we're not a good, open, or expansive team. It's not that we aren't expansive. Teams don't want to play against us. Teams don't want to take the game to us, guys. It's 2 games in a row now where opposition teams have had no shots on target. Like Fulham at home had no shots on target. Like they weren't setting up to play. Yes, they had shots, but the fact that you have no shots on target means that you aren't necessarily in goal scoring opportunities. You can have shots from outside the box and pop shots here and there, but no shots on target means you weren't creating. And I think Arsenal are finding ways to be better at playing against those kind of teams. Because when we play against Palace this week, and I think Palace will probably be a lot more expansive, but I think at the same time they might be slightly fearful of doing that against us. I mean, City even basically parked the bus against us, or retreated into their own
5-5-0. City did a 5-5-0 against us.
Exactly, bro. And that was because of just the threat that people know we have. And I think, like you mentioned, Dane, the quality in depth also is what people have to take into account, because you can keep us out for 60, 70 minutes until I bring on 4 changes. And my 4 changes are, it could easily be Eze, Nwaneri, Havertz, and a Madueke, after having Martinelli, Saka, Trossard, and Gyökeres run at you. You know what I'm saying, for example? So I think we find in a position where we spur for choice. And I think once we have our full caliber of squad fit, look, guys, I'm not saying that we will smoke the league, but I think, if City don't keep up with us and Liverpool don't keep up with us, we can easily stretch this into a very big lead very quickly. Because I think we've got the qualities now to do that. I think we've got the qualities to win in different scenarios. Donzi, bro, I know you know to speak nice of Arsenal. I know you're a big hater, bro. I know that for a fact. But obviously, Arsenal have come close over the past 3 seasons, 3 second place finishes. From what you're seeing from Arsenal and Arteta's boys, do you think that this might be the season where Arsenal finally get it over the line, or do you think, this is all just smoke and mirrors? It's just, what Arsenal maybe do every season?
You know what, bro? Like you said, it's the 3rd season now. I think it's gotta be now or never, bro. Shan, it's gotta be now or never, man. Like, there's no more like smoke or mirrors or anything like that, bro. Like, it's literally clear cut, black or white, bro. It's either you win the league or you don't, bro. And it's like, at this point in time, look, like, it's Arteta's been he's been manager for a couple of, like, how many seasons now? 6 seasons, almost 7 seasons, right? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. There you go. Cool. But like, bro, no majors, bro. Like, it's cutting time, bro. If I was an Arsenal fan, bro, I'd be scratching my neck, bro. I'd be like, yo, where's the trophies at, bro? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, Arsenal, right now, you guys are looking like a solid team, bro. Like, you guys are looking like a proper contender, bro. And I'd be lying to myself if I thought that you guys weren't cut to win the league, bro. And like, it hurts. I can't lie to you, it hurts. But like, at the same time, like, look, we're winning stuff as well, but like you guys have got to win a major this season, bro. You guys have got to win a Prem, and I think you might do it, bro. If Liverpool don't do it, yeah, then you guys might do it. But you didn't hear that from me, man, and you won't see me as well for a very long time, bro. I hope you know that as well, innit? You won't see me for
Yeah, we know, bro. Whenever Chelsea loses, you dump out, bro.
Yeah, you won't. No. If Arsenal win the league,
Yeah.
you won't see me for a very long time, bro. I'll tell you that for a fact. You won't see me on this pod either, bro. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's what I gotta say on the Gunners, bro. That's what I gotta say, bro. But yeah, you guys are good, man.
Mid is, bro. Obviously, another direct London rival, bro. Obviously, Spurs not winning, but Arsenal, obviously, good position currently in the league. You know, league leaders, looking strong. Like 3 goals conceded all season across all competitions, which I think is mad. That's actually mad. We conceded 1 open play goal. That's mad. Like, I don't think guys are actually deeping that, bro. Like, if Arsenal can, and guys, I actually listened to a crazy stat. When Liverpool won the league last season, right? The amount of goals they scored, Arsenal in the previous season when we finished second before Liverpool won the league had outscored Liverpool. So I don't think it's necessarily about scoring the most goals. I generally think it's down to not conceding that many. Because I mean, for example, Arsenal were in a strong position at 0-0 against Fulham because we weren't looking like conceding. And when we scored, it was like, okay, now they're definitely not conceding. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you can give yourself a 0-0, you are, in my opinion, 50% on the way to a victory. If you 1-0 down, it's already difficult. You know, I think if United don't score yesterday, the longer the game goes on, I think Liverpool probably get into it and win. You know, but the early goal just changed the whole complexity of the game, and I think, Mate, just to go to you, bro, is that like I said, Arsenal maybe not scoring the most amount of goals, but still scoring a healthy amount, but conceding next to nothing. Do you think that Arsenal have it in them this season to actually finally get it over the line, just from the small sample size you've seen this season?
Nah, bro. I'm joking, bro. I'm joking.
My whole monologue, that guy just says, nah.
I think if we all being honest, Arsenal is not number one by mistake, bro. You know, they have been the most consistent team, and the only thing for me that would rule Arsenal out, or why they probably won't drop points as much as a Man City or a Liverpool, is that they don't have championship fatigue. You know, and I think that's what teams like Liverpool would, like, in the middle of a season, would find themselves struggling with. But as far as tenacity is concerned, pressure, all of these things, bro, like the depth that you were talking about, the versatility in the formations that Arteta is able to go with, and the depth that the team has, I genuinely believe, like what Don's saying, bro, like it has to happen now, bro. You know, as much as we hate to say it, as much as we hate to admit it, but you look at Arsenal, bro. Like my brother's actually also a fellow Ghana, but I caught the game second half. You know, it's not always about winning pretty, bro. You know, but Arsenal is able to get through that finish line. You know, like you say, there were other opportunities that they could have scored or whatever the case, but they didn't score. I'm just gonna bring it home. The last time Kaizer Chiefs won the league, they literally won all the games 1-0 used with set pieces, and that's the last time they won the league. You know, so it's not all about winning 4-0, 5-1, or whatever the case, but also making sure that, like what you're saying, these are teams that Arsenal usually would drop points at, or like they just being like a kryptonite, like Dane was saying. But this season, they just seem more. I mean, we are saying like it's a bit too early, but man, you need to win these games, and Arsenal is making sure that they're winning these games. You know, and like the contributions from like your key players is also there. You know, Liverpool, even us, like we still look at the key players that we expect contributions from, and it's like, if it's not gonna come from them, what's gonna happen now? So, like what you were saying with your Madueke's, Saka, who Rice, those people are still showing up for the club, you know, and I do believe it is, man. I do believe it hurts, but hey, man, like,
Bro, with Arsenal win the league this season, the amount of rival tears, I think will break the internet. I think the internet, guys, generally, I think it'll be so insane to see the internet reaction that they Arsenal win the league. Because
but it's
Arsenal
gotta
haven't won
happen at some point, bro.
Arsenal haven't won the league like in this internet phase. You know what I'm saying? Of things. You know, and I think there will be channels that get shut down. There will be people that get flagged on their channels for certain things, it'll be mayhem. And I'm here for it. We
Yeah.
will be there. We will have a stream. We will be there.
Yeah.
Just quick, just quickly, Rian, bro. Just before we move on to the next topic, bro. Obviously, your team has obviously relinquished first place to Arsenal. Is there a fear of yours that this Arsenal team has the possibility to, for example, put a much bigger gap between you and Liverpool, or do you think, you know what, we are very much still a team that can be caught in with regards to, dropping points and you guys making up those points? Have you seen anything in Arsenal to suggest that, or what are your takes?
I feel like it's still early days. One thing I like about Arsenal is consistency. Great, great in attack, great in defense. If you have a good defense and you go on the offensive side as well, they just they well balanced, like like Donzi said. But with Arsenal, it's usually a tale of two halves, and we will only know by Jan or Feb if Arsenal have it in them, in their system, if I can put it like that, because they usually slack towards Feb or March, like we've noticed when it comes to the FA Cup, the League Cup, like Ateta doesn't know where to focus. Should I focus on this cup or on that cup? It's pretty clear and simple this season for you guys. The focus should be on the league. You guys have never tweeted. You guys have never been on Facebook. You've never been on IG. Like you said, the internet is gonna crash. But it's all about consistency. Consistency is gonna be key. You guys don't have serial killers within that squad, if I can put it like that. The only guy there I would say maybe is Kai Havertz. He's on it all. Yeah, in terms of like your European competition. So he is a winner. He knows what it is like to win. You guys have Glock as well. He's not performing, but let's see what happens, because I feel like if 29, I call him 29, Havertz, if he's fully fit, I think he'll bang those goals. Glock is a bit slow, but if 29 is back, guys, I'm actually scared. He's actually very, very underrated player in terms of how Arsenal play. He just fits in well with the system, and I'm sure you can agree with me, Shannon. Even Jesus, he might be injured now, but these are the guys you're gonna need towards the marathon. It's not a sprint. Like I said, guys, this is a marathon. Anything can happen. And the only team I'm wary of right now is City. Besides Liverpool, we're going through a dip. Like I said, guys, I don't know. Haaland is already on 23 goals this season. That's insane. The guy can get 50 plus goals before end of December if he goes at this rate. So yeah, let's see what happens. You have an amazing defense. I always, I admire the defense, but let's see. You guys need to start scoring goals. Like you said, it can't be a set piece or a corner thing. It's not gonna work throughout the season. I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. So let's see what you guys can do in terms of more creativity. But I see goals coming. I see goals coming, but there's also going to be a few twists. So yeah, let's see, guys. Palace won't be easy. I feel like Palace, they'll take the game to Arsenal. They've been fearless this season, and they have an amazing coach. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, you know that. You know about Palace, bro. Look, guys, we're gonna move on to obviously the Chelsea section now. We will be having another stream, guys, on hopefully Thursday, where we do a preview to the weekend's game. So we're not gonna give any predictions today. We're just gonna literally review the past game week's matches, and obviously straight moving on to Chelsea, who look, they've taken that Liverpool game and they ran with that. That's two good wins now. Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. Look, obviously Ange Postecoglou getting sacked immediately after the game. I think that could be a whole episode in itself. Nottingham Forest. I'm just so disappointed what's happening at that club. Like you had such something so good going, and you just in a matter of like a month you've just ruined it. And I think that owner he'll learn the hard way. But Donzi, bro, your boys obviously injury ridden, red card ridden. But a crucial 3 points, good win. You know, some solid performances from a few of your players, namely Josh Achapom, which I think, you know, we've got Ben White's shirt ready if Ben White can't stay fit next season. You know, obviously if he wants to join a real big London club, we will welcome him at the Emirates. But obviously, bro, Chelsea, like I said, getting a good win against Forest now, just before playing in the Champions League in midweek. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on your team, bro? Like, do you think that, you know, a top 4 finish is realistic, or do you think you guys should be aiming a bit higher?
To be honest with you, man, like, look, if we look at it as a whole, top 4 should just be like kind of minimum type of thing. Like that's the least we should be. Like that's normal at this point. You know what I mean? We've proved last season that we're more than capable of you know what I'm saying, getting into that top 4, especially when there's, you know what I'm saying, there's the likes of other teams like Villa, Newcastle, and such like that are also trying to, you know what I'm saying, make their way into the Champions League as well. So I feel like, yeah, man, top 4 is kind of like the minimum. We want a trophy 100%, like domestic. I don't really mind. I want it all, like, but I'm not picky when it comes to trophies. You know what I mean, bro? Like, but yeah, like, look, bro, with Chelsea, man, my team, it's unpredictable, bro. I can't tell you what we're gonna do, bro. I could tell you we're gonna lose to United and we'll win against Liverpool, bro. If you told me that, I'll take it, shit. But like, my bad. But at the same time, like, you know what I mean, bro? Like, anyway, look, top 4 minimum. Give me the domestic trophies. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy with Maresca. I'm saying red card FC. What's this fifth game in a row, 6th game in a row with a red card? Like, bro, we might as well start betting at this point. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Anyway, now look, yo, Chelsea, yeah. Like, bro, like I told you, in the top 4 is a must. But yeah, man, I'm giving my manager time, man. He's cooking something, definitely. You know what I'm saying? The man's cooking. Give him some time.
Look, I think with Chelsea, bro, it's like I was actually speaking to a friend of mine, obviously a mutual friend of ours, Don. I was speaking to Luke, and I was saying with Chelsea, it's like they've bought good quality young players. I just, in my opinion, and listen, they won the Conference League, they won the Club World Cup, you know, against all the odds. Generally, like I don't think any of us expected them to win it in that fashion. You know, maybe we thought they could win it, but I don't even think you as a Chelsea fan thought, now we're going to smoke PSG. You know what I'm saying? So they've got something to build on. I just don't know how sustainable this squad is for a season. I think if they can do well in competitions, like maybe and this might sound crazy, I wouldn't even be shocked if Chelsea won like the Champions League. You get what I'm saying? Like they just have that about them where it's like I think their squad is more a cup team than they are a league sustaining team. And so I think in the league they're so inconsistent, and I think the quality they have shows out in some of the big games, you know, in the league here and there or in the cups. But look, I said, like I think with Donzi, I have to say I think Chelsea a minimum of top 4 for the squad. I know we talk about how much money they've spent, but generally that squad is not good enough to win the league. Like it's genuinely not.
Oh, 100%. I never said that we're gonna win the league, bro. Look,
No,
I said you lot got more of a chance.
General sphere of Chelsea. I think, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked, Donzi, bro, if, like I said, if you guys won the Champions League, because the cup competition sometimes just need a bit of luck, you know.
Yeah.
And I think with Chelsea, when I look at their team, I'm like, I don't even mean to sound like I hate. I'm like, this is a very much mid-table list of players. But obviously they got a good coach. No, you got a good coach who's getting, I think, a bit more out of some of these players than what he should. Or, you know, he's a good coach. Maresca's a good coach. You know, so you got to also look at it and say, okay, if he gets better players, then surely Chelsea will be a lot better. Because I mean, if you look at your keeper, bro, your keeper wouldn't start for any of us. I don't think any of us would say, yeah, give me Robert Sanchez. You get what I'm saying? Not even you wouldn't even want Robert Sanchez. You know, across your back 4, maybe Reece James probably the only defender, and maybe Cucurella, depending on whose team you put him in.
Come on, man, respect my fullback.
No, 100%. I think your fullback is quite strong. I think Caicedo, he starts, but I don't think he is the best. And we've had this conversation. I think he's really good. I've always rated Caicedo. I rated him before he even came to Arsenal. I mean, before he came to Chelsea, because we were also linked to him. So I've known Caicedo for a while. I think he just needs to prove it over this season to be in those conversations. That's all I'm saying. Because I think it's all good and well being good, but if your team is finishing 6th, it's like, are you really like? Are you get what I'm saying?
But also, look,
so
bro,
for me, sorry, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, look, if we're giving the piece to Liverpool and letting them go through their transitional period, we gotta understand that we also went through that same thing, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Like them seasons weren't easy when we were finishing 12th and them kind of things there. Do you know what I mean? Like, so now where we're at now, winning silverware, you know what I'm saying? My gaffer's got a couple trophies, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at all the
Mine too.
positives. I mean, yo, look. I said, yo, you lot can win the league this season, bro. Don't fumble that, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, don't let Arteta fumble the trophy, bro. But yeah, man, look,
Hey,
I
bro.
agree, 100%, man, 100%.
No, look, I think guys, Chelsea looking good. We're gonna just move on because obviously because of time, we're but short for time. We're gonna obviously jump to the other panelist team here. Obviously, Medes, guys, being a Spurs fan. Medes, bro, I won't lie, I was quite surprised that you guys lost. Right, I haven't watched enough Spurs, and I forgot that Spurs can still be Spursy. Like Thomas Frank, I really rate as a manager, and I thought things have changed, but because I watched the game actually, ironically, and I watched the Spurs game. It was really, really good game actually. Like Spurs and Villa played some really good football. I mean, I think Morgan Rogers was on it yesterday. But from what I've seen from Spurs this season, they've been really good. They've been defensively a lot better. Obviously, change of system, change of manager, change of emphasis on not being so open up in terms of conceding chances. But me, there's another Spursy moment yesterday where you guys were obviously 1-0 up at home. I think Villa scored two great goals, bro. I think that pass that Matty Cash gives to Digne, and then Buendia's goal, that whole play that's one of the best goals I think I've seen in a while. So it's not that you guys lost. You lost to two really good goals, and that can happen any day. But do you think that there's been a lot of, not I would say pressure on Spurs earlier, because obviously you guys started well, but do you think these results are just normal and for a new manager taking over a new team, and Spurs will probably find themselves in the top four battle more than what I've seen some Spurs fans saying a possible title race?
I mean, look, I'm not talking title conversations, bro. Like, we were 17th last season, and I do believe we're still in a very much transition phase with Thomas Frank. We obviously admire what he's done. You spoke of Arsenal having only conceded 3 goals. We've only conceded 7 in all competitions. So it's also one of those where we, like, defensively we are better, and then you get a knock on the day, literally minutes before, where you're gonna lose your best defender in Kuti Romero. And that obviously just sets us back. And now we have to put a Kevin. I have nothing against him, but I don't think it's one of those games where you want to lose a player like that. Just minutes. Is that me?
Yeah, I think that was you, bro. I was just checking if it was me. I don't know. Everyone was I fine? Was just made as there, eh?
Okay, but yeah, and obviously with how the rest of the team is looking, attack, I think that's where we still need a bit of connection, man. I think with Javi Simmons being in the team, we still need. I think some players need other players to be activated, and missing the likes of Kulisevsky and who's this, um, Medicine, who will also probably play the same position, but just to activate him. I don't think he's been activated as a player coming into a new league. He still haven't found his foot. He looks better off the ball, actually. And you can see, like, he's not confident enough to even be taking those shots on himself. He's still very much on trying to be on an assist level. I think he's very wary of to criticize us wanting to take Son's spot, wearing the number 7 also, which was, I don't know why he did that. But yeah, as a team is concerned, I think we are really looking better than we finished last season. It's just a matter of, like, tightening those loose ends, man, and just getting the right players in the right positions. I think Thomas Frank is still trying to figure out the system that works for him. Doing a lot of, not necessarily a lot, but just trying to find what works and what doesn't work, through the injuries, through the depth that we have. Because you see, we had a great start, but
100%.
yeah, but we're playing against also like a Villa team that doesn't back down. So just managing those type of games needs players that are really, like, their heads are in the game, and I don't think we are there yet. But I also wouldn't rule us out in a sense that we were ruled out last season. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe Thomas Frank is still cooking and still needs patience. You know, we're 2 points behind second team. So was it Liverpool? Yeah, 14. They were 60. Yeah, you know. So dropping off those points was a setback. But had we gotten those points, we're sitting nicely at number two. We'd be cruising nicely. But it's just one of those things. So I do think we are like we still have a lot to look forward to as far as the season is concerned. We're back in the Champions League again this week, so it's exciting times. It's a let off, a game that you don't want to lose, a game like what Arsenal, what you're saying about Arsenal winning those right games. You know, this is a game that we went into at home, coming back from a break. We obviously expecting a good result, and then we're just gonna be let off like that. It wasn't nice, but I do still believe we have uh, some positivity to look forward to.
Yeah, no, look, I think with Spurs there is a lot to be positive. I mean, building off the Europa League last season, I think all of us here on this panel, I'm sure we can agree that Thomas Frank is probably one of the best managers in Europe. You know, like he has an identity. He stabilized Brentford very well. I think he organizes very well. Even Spurs, like we played them in preseason and Spurs are looking good that game. Like I'm not even that's not even like I mean Kudus is like that's a baller. You know, I think Wilson Ottobay, the left winger, he's looking good. It's just I think again I think with everyone and I think we Arsenal are slightly fortunate is that we have the most stability. Our core of our team is still relatively the same. I think a lot of teams' core has changed over the past 2.5 years. And I think we have to use that as to our advantage. Where teams are maybe dropping points because of a lack of connection. And look, don't get me wrong, Arsenal also have new players to bed in, but our core is still there, and I think that's going to take us a long way this season. Look, I think we're going to just close off the show quickly, just touching on City. I think there's no one else that we should talk about more than Erling Haaland, guys. I think what you can say about Gyökeres, for example, is that he doesn't look that tidy. He's maybe not that efficient. You can't say that about Haaland. Haaland is a tidy player of his size and stature, and man, oh man, is that guy a finisher. Like Thierry Henry for me will be the best player to play in the Premier League, but I think Erling Haaland is the best finisher to play in the Premier League. Like that boy is efficient. Like you put the ball in the box, that boy is gonna net you. Like it's inevitable. I mean, look, Spurs have the only team that know how to nullify City. So that's like I don't know how that's still always possible. Like Spurs always nullify City, but I mean Haaland, he's the only player to score against us in open play, and that's not a luck thing. That's genuinely down to being a quality player. His finish against us was composed. I even think this past weekend he's looking like the Haaland that doesn't need many touches to score. 1-2 out the feet, boom, goal, brace, quick things. You know what I'm saying? And I think City, though, are, in my opinion, a Haaland injury away from not being in the title race. That's the only issue I have is that can you, I think every one of us has that little asterisk next to our name in the title race. That's like, can Slot get his team to click? Can City keep Haaland fit for the whole season? Can Arsenal find other ways to win besides set pieces? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we all have that little thing that is next to our name. And I think with City, I think it's just keeping Haaland fit. I think if he's firing, because I mean, Foden, like you mentioned, Dane, is like he he hasn't been as good as what we expected. He,
Sorry.
yeah, he hasn't been as good as what we expected in the past couple, maybe year and a half after winning player of the season. I think one thing Haaland has shown is his consistency to come back. So, look, I think City, Rian, you said it. Dane, I think you're about to just mention it as well. Meredith, I'm sure you can agree. I think, and Donzi said it. City are in this title race, and no one should ever look past them. I think it'd be arrogant for Arsenal fans to say Liverpool are only threat. I've always maintained. I think any Pep Guardiola coach team deserves its respect. That's one thing Pep is good at. Pep is very good at going under the radar until he's leading the shit, and then it's 15 points ahead. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they'll do it again because I don't think they're as good. But I wouldn't be surprised to see City first at some point this season, just because I think they a good team. Do I expect Arsenal to relinquish first place? No, I don't, and I don't mean that arrogantly. I just think that we shouldn't relinquish first place. Let me rather say that. But I wouldn't be surprised if City are not too far behind throughout the season and give us a run for our money. So, Look, guys, I know I want to bring you guys in, but I'm a bit pressed for time because I've got another stream to jump on. But I think we've covered each other's teams here. We've all spoken on the teams on the panel. So, gents, thank you so much for coming. To all the viewers, thank you so much for interacting with the comments. It was really good to get back onto this platform, guys. We will try and make this a regular thing. I think there's a lot more stability from a lot of our sides, so we can maybe guarantee some more of these streams. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and as always, guys, keep it toxic. Okay, for myself, Shannon, and my panel, guys, we'll see you guys for the next stream.